Hello and welcome to the final cast of the SpyParty Masters Championship Challenger bracket. So this is going to be our last cast of the lower seeds. We had our top 6 seeds get directly into the Masters divisions, the Masters groups, whereas our players today have come in from lower seeding and have fought their way through one match already to be here in the finals to claim a spot in the Masters division between, and today that is going to be between Adafheyesh and LevT. I'm here with my co-caster Scout.
Hello, hello.
And we have Corvus hosting and as analyst.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming.
So as I was mentioning, both these players have already won a match, Adafheyesh versus Screwloose and LevT over Grash. And only one of them can advance on into probably what is the toughest group of any tournament that we have ever seen in SpyParty. They are fighting to join Rav, Lagorv Janine, and Nebula in a group where only 2 will escape into the final bracket. It's pretty brutal out there.
It's slightly a bit of a booby prize to get in, to be honest.
Indeed, it is. Let's move on into the draft here. You can see that LevT has banned Tayen, while Adafheyesh bans Redwood, so not seeing many of those occlusion venues. LevT restricts Veranda, Adafheyesh restricts Library. LevT is going to double Gallery, and we'll see Adafheyesh, after my own heart, doubling Ballroom. Then a single of Modern and Veranda, a single of Aquarium, and a single of, you see that right, Adafheyesh did single Library, which was his own restrict.
He definitely wants to play it, just not that much.
I think it might have been potentially a bait. As you can see that LevT did ban, restrict, and pick venues first. So by restricting Library, Adafheyesh was trying to bait Lev into picking it himself. However, did not work, so Adafheyesh instead just picked it.
I think this is quite a standard draft for 2 very solid campers, not wanting to risk too much on the occlusion venues where you can you have to infer a little more, and just wanting these standard, solid, larger campy venues.
Yeah, and Corvus, do you have anything for us about this draft?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this draft, I think your point about occlusion is pretty spot on. None of these venues are courtyard, right? None of these venues are balcony. None of these venues are terrace. None of them are something where the sniper has complete vision, but still looking at things like Ballroom, looking at things like Modern, Veranda, even Aquarium, these are not places where our top snipers are unable to cope with the amount of occlusion that they're going to be facing. Instead, looking at these venues, I would say that all of these venues present the opportunity for, spy games that don't necessarily go the way you expect. Veranda and Library might be the worst examples of those, but certainly looking at Gallery, Ballroom, Modern, and Aquarium, there are lots of ways to play these venues, and I think that's going to be a really good fit for both of these players.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did in particular see Adafheyesh do quite well on the bigger venues in his last match versus Screwloose. So going on, Corvus, I'm told you have some analysis and clips of these players.
Yeah, let's just spend a little bit of time talking about these players. So Lev, coming in as SMC seed number 10, came in 4th place in Winter Cup. Of course, has the win over Grash. That win over Grash in the previous round is really his only significant win over another player in SMC 22. He does have a draw versus OP and a close loss to OP, but no other competitive success against anyone in SMC. So this is kind of his battleground to prove that he's able to hang with players of this caliber. Now Lev, I think historically there's been a lot of almost stereotyping of Lev's playstyle as being somewhat susceptible to tilt. There's these ideas that you win the first 2 games against Lev and then it's downhill from there. I think it's fair to say that over the course of SMC 22 that has changed a lot. We saw it in his win against Grosh, where he lost the first 2 games, was never ahead in the first 10 games of the set and still came back with a fantastic win. We've seen it in the Winter Cup performance as well. So I think the Lev that we're seeing now here in Spy Party still has some ups and downs in consistency. People have talked about that a lot. But I think the tilt factor is not really much of a factor anymore. Now, I want to show off a spectacular spy game from Lev that we saw in his match against Grosh. Now, this is a game on Veranda. Veranda is a venue that we will be seeing today. So let's get this game up. Now, Lev is playing Spy here as Twin. We're going to fast forward through most of this game. Lev kind of wanders around a bunch, gets some flirt done, and at this point has Purloined the guest list with a white Purloin. So now the reaction from Lev at this point is to go for a quick banana bread, just layer on some chaos. And this chaos is going to be key for how Lev plays the rest of this game. We're still staying in this place. We have that highlight. I don't think there's any reason for Lev to think that he could have gotten away without some kind of highlight in this position, just white purloining in front of Veranda. But look what happens here. We're going to finish flirt, and the ambassador is going to come to us. Now, this is being watched very carefully by Grosh. The laser is very evident, and Lev is aware. Lev is going to wait till the last possible second, and then just go for the bug. Just standing bug in the sniper's face. There's a little bit of visual noise because Lev knows that with that purloin highlight, you can't just play a super passive fingerprint inspect or contact game. And now look at this moment. This is what I think really made the difference in this particular game. Lev goes to this back statue. We have a print. There is a print on this statue, which Lev knows, and I'm certain at this level Grosh is aware of. Now, the reaction from Lev, we're going to gulp this drink and look at the laser. Lev is very aware of the lasers rotating all the way over here. Grosh is watching this statue somewhat carefully. Sees us at the statue. We pick it up, we go for the fingerprint. Now, Lev has a choice to make. Now that we have this print, we can either try to inspect and then go inspect another set of statues, and we have time for that, or we can go for the swap. And what Lev does, look at this camera rotation from the spy cam. Look at it again. The camera is facing downward, facing downward, facing downward, sees the laser rotate away, and moves the camera down to have a better view of the laser. Saw the laser rotating. You can see in the right hand of your screen, you can see the laser visible through the right hand window to the right of the clock. Watches that laser rotate all the way over, and at this exact moment goes for the swap. Look how far rotated the laser is at this point, and Lev knows how long it takes on Veranda to rotate all the way back, which Grosh basically immediately starts to do. But Lev just knows there's not enough time to make it all the way back on Veranda. Grosh tries to rotate for the shot, runs out of time, and Lev walks away from that with a spy win. That kind of attention and opportunistic plays where Lev says, if I see the laser move, I'm going to take this swap. If I don't see the laser move, I'm not going to. Knowing the physical limitations of the venues, that is a huge play from Lev. It's one that I hope we continue to see on the spy side of this match. Lev, of course, typically known for his solid sniper, not typically known, I think it's fair to say, for his spy play, but this is SMC, and the time has come to let it all out, put it all on the line, and I think Lev's spy is going to be doing that for us. Okay, so that is Lev. Let's move on to Adafheyesh. Adafheyesh comes into this match as the wild card. Actually, SMC seed 14 is Adafheyesh's placement. Ada was unable to qualify for SMC via traditional route, came in 9th place in Winter Cup, came in 5th place in Summer Cup, was very, very close to qualifying via MRPs. Has a win against Opie Rights, of course has the win against Screw Loose in SMC Challengers, has a 5-7 loss to Pofke, a 7-9 loss to Nebula. That 7-9 to Nebula is significant because that would be the group that Adafheyesh will be entering with a win here. Now, looking at Adafheyesh's play, everyone highlights Adafheyesh's just explosive and creative spy style. He's willing to complete any kind of mission at any point on the clock. Adafheyesh also has been a very consistent player. I mean, if you look at these results, 9th place Nixon match, 9th place Winter Cup, 5th place Summer Cup, you know, the bracket's not always going to fall the way that makes it easy for you to get up into the top 8 or top 4. Sometimes you get run into someone who's just outperforming you that day. But Adafheyesh has not really seen those kinds of like collapses where he loses 7-1 or 9-2 or something like that. So I expect that we will see solid play from Adafheyesh no matter what day of the week it is, which I mentioned with Lev. Lev has a little bit higher ceiling, a little bit lower floor. Now I'm going to show off a match, a game from Adafheyesh's round 1 match against Screw Loose. So this is a spy game from Adafheyesh. This was the first game of the set versus Screw Loose. Now Screw Loose was the top seed in Challengers, so lots to play in the set. The set was very close, but it opened like this. We started the game very close to Toby. We're going to enter conversation, and we're going to request immediately. And as soon as we hit this request, we get offered, we go for the green, and the quick walkaway. Adafheyesh is on the move. All right, so the purloin comes off. It bounces around for a while. It comes off here. We're not particularly close to Toby, but Screw Loose is the kind of player you expect to be well on top of this. So Adafheyesh keeps moving. Doesn't want Screw Loose to have time to figure out what's going on, right? So we go to statues, we get a single inspect, and now we play for a little while. We kind of walk around a bit, get some more flirts. I'm going to speed through most of this. We finish our inspects, and we get the mission done. We come in here. We're going to finish off flirt at this window. Okay, so now think about where we are as Adafheyesh. It's 45 seconds left in the game. We have a purloin. We have our inspects done. We're going to go finish flirt. And it's a pretty aggressive flirt right out here at window. We're very exposed. There's not a lot of cover or other noise worrying Screw Loose. The ambassador is safe. Purloin has happened. There's no one in statues. There's nothing else to really watch at this point except for maybe Wheels at Books, who's the highlight who could be transferring. So we go for this flirt. Now, if you are 85% of spy players in the community or 85% of spy games, at this point, you have inspect done, you have purloin done, you're going to have flirt done in the next second. You have 40 seconds left on the clock. All you're going to be doing is going in and finding this contact with the double agent in conversation. Instead, look at this play from Adafheyesh. Here comes the ambassador, and we just take this standing walkaway bug right in Screw Loose's face, and we are going to finish with a silent game, and Screw has no chance of a shot here. This is the kind of fearless play that I want to see from, honestly, both of these players. And it's a good bug. This is not typically the bug that you expect to be successful. It works out beautifully. And Adafheyesh says, you know what? I am not going to play the spy game you think I'm going to play. I showed a purloin in the first 30 seconds of this game. You think it's going to be an inspect, contact, flirt, and maybe I'm dead for that contact. But a silent game instead. Adafheyesh has no fear, is willing to play that game, and that is why people talk the way they do about Adafheyesh's spy. We saw, fantastic spy plays from both of these players in their round 1 matches. We saw fantastic sniper plays from both these players in their round 1 matches, but I think this match is going to come down to their spies, who can be more creative, who can be more adaptable, and who can take advantage of the situations that are presented to them.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Corvus. That's going to move us into our predictions for this match. And I am a proud member of Adafheyesh to the moon. I'm going to predict this one, Adafheyesh 9-5.
I think I have to lean towards Adafheyesh. I think it's going to be pretty close. I'm thinking 9-7. I think it really depends on what Lev is like today. I think he's entirely capable of taking this, but I think it's going to be close other way.
All right, well, I am also going to have to put my vote on Adafheyesh. I think just his consistency, his creative plays, and his wins on high-level opponents, Screw Loose. I'll be like, these wins are going to count a lot, I think, here. I think Lev just traditionally has struggled to succeed on this kind of level. I think he's perfectly capable of it. But I think that Ada has a real shot here. I'm going to go for Ada 9-6.
So all of us are on the Ada train to Differing degrees. Well, let's see what we have for our community predictions on this match. And we do see a pretty big disparity in terms of Adafheyesh over Lev. And if you could explain what that gray bar is, we don't have a full 100%.
Yeah, so because of the way predictions are done, some people predicted that the winner of this Challengers final would not be Lev or Ada. I think all those predictions were actually for Grosh, who of course was eliminated in round 1 and therefore is neither of these two players.
Well, thank you very much. You can see that because of how that is structured, you notice that 80% of all predictions predicted both Adafheyesh to beat Screwloose and then win this side of the Challengers bracket. So that's a lot of faith put into Adafheyesh. 80% of all predictions, including ones that did not have Adafheyesh versus Lev. So that's very, very impressive from Adafheyesh. I believe it was like a 93% Adafheyesh lean in the match versus Screwloose as well. So Adafheyesh has a lot of confidence from the community. We'll see if he can capitalize. And we are now on to our first game. Adafheyesh on the spy side, playing as Red Dress. This is Gallery. As you know, we recall Gallery was the first double, and we have Ballroom afterwards. Then we will go into halftime. And of course, as a reminder, this is until 9 games. If we start to look like we might go to overtime, we'll explain it then. But for now, let's get into it. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So we're bouncing around, looking for our seduction target. Initially, seemed like we might be heading for that bookcase, but at the moment we're happy to just chill, and probably flirt is going to be our first mission here.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to take this really distant flirt as the conversation fills up around our ST, so only 17% in particular, as we got a white test there. It's the worst successful flirt you can have. Oh, what? We're low light?
I think Lev was intending to lowlight the double agent and got us instead, and hasn't realized that yet.
That could be huge if that's not corrected. Obviously, it's something that Lev can later notice. It is definitely something that can be corrected because, you know, Lev will go later and be like, huh, why isn't this SDA? Yeah, there it is. There it is. There's that correction. So nothing big here for Adafheyesh with that low light. Nothing really capitalized on. A good correction from Lev. Very important to be on top of those as a loss mitigation strategy. But for now, Adafheyesh, not doing much.
Second flirt, and we're up to 54%. But I feel like waiting around for yet another timer flirt, which wouldn't be able to get us to 100%, even if we had a green from this position, would be wasting a lot of time. We're already down to 2 minutes 30, and we've just taken an innocent drink. So I'm a little bit concerned about the pacing speed here.
Yeah, I think that was an intentional red test from Adafheyesh to push our ST somewhere else. We just want to cause some activity in this party, but look at this, actually. This would be a really good contact from Adafheyesh's point of view. We're not even going to try to take it, though. That would have been a very good gallery contact. There's only 2 conversations, so I'm rather surprised it wasn't taken. You know, there is some cost. You have the cost of the lowlights, but it's rare to see something that good. Of course, in this case, the SDA would have been out, and the front conversation would have been a known fake from the sniper's point of view. But it's got to be something that's on your mind as Adafheyesh, especially as time winds down here.
I'm a little concerned about this book visit. That leave out of convo we took wasn't a bug, but it could well have gotten us bug credit, and now if we try and do an action micro, we're going to have just that extra level of suspicion on us. So far, we're just reading this book and not intending to do anything with it, though.
I would expect more of a direct animation, direct microfilm at this point, just because of that time. As you mentioned, the animation is going to take way too long, but I think it's just going to try to be framing someone at this point for Adafheyesh. There's a safety off onto Tex we saw from Lev. That could be dangerous, especially as there's a contact. Is Lev willing to take a shot onto the top suspect here? Another safety off, but no. Whoa, white purloin.
I'm a little intrigued. it seemed like they were so settled on this frame game, but obviously decided after that contact, when no immediate shot came off, that we just had to do some mission ourselves.
Was Tex in this? No, there was no chain. It was just Buns who is the SDA and would have been out for contact anyway.
It's not a white purloin, it's a red purloin.
It is indeed a red purloin as well. I called that wrong, but either way, it is a purloin where we are left with a drink in our hands and just die. So Lev is going to be up 1-0. It's expected, generally speaking, to win the sniper game on Gallery. It is, in fact, the most sniper-sided 4 of X venue that we have in the SpyParty venue set. But we'll see if Adafheyesh can keep it even, of course, as this is LevT's pick. Going to be a little bit more comfortable on it, I expect. And let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And straight out to Windows. I would love to see a time ad at this point, given that Gallery is known for pacing issues, but no interest in that. Our seduction target is at statues, so I guess we'll just join her at statues, pick up a flirt, and at least one inspect, I presume.
Yeah, this isn't that bad, given that Adafheyesh does not appear to be highlighting for statue visits. I wouldn't like this very much otherwise, as picking up that highlight for a mission that's difficult to finish, in particular because this is Gallery, you're not going to see many AIs completing inspects because you do have to visit 2 distinct sets of statues. So that's going to reduce the strength of that mission considerably, as you just have less party cover for when you yourself are doing inspects. So if you were picking up a highlight for that, I think that would be a big problem. But in this case, that is not. So we still can just decide later on if finishing these inspects is something that we want to do. For now, just picking up our second flirt up to 51%. Very nice mathematical how 2 white flirts, the worst one and the best one, equal a green flirt.
This is a little bit difficult for Lev because it means that we have to hit a green later or make this a 4 flirt game. A little bit difficult for pacing wise, and I'd like to see a little bit of progress on some other mission while we're waiting to finish that flirt.
Yeah, our ST did leave us, so there is... Oh no, it's just... This is a white purloin. It's on screen. What's the reaction?
We were next to the ambassador at the time, so that should have gotten a little bit more attention, but so far there seems to be no reaction at all, which means that either Ada is so on top of this he's not bothering to take lights, or we're fine as Lev.
I think it's probably more likely the first one, because that was very on screen, and there has, it's been on screen enough by now that I think Adafheyesh most definitely would have noticed and at least reacted somewhat if it weren't the I'm completely onto this idea.
Wee woo, drink outside.
Ooh. Yeah, that is a rare occurrence for AIs and something that snipers can use to try to shoot. Or gather suspicion. I wouldn't shoot based on that alone, as is possible, just unlikely.
I presume we've come out here for the double agent who is in this conversation out here. Unfortunately, the SDA is out, and that back conversation, even though it's relatively full, taking this contact would be quite incriminating at this point.
Yeah, and we did see that game that Corvus highlighted before this match where Lev had that red purloin, and despite that, got away with a spy win on Veranda, rather. That's just going to be so difficult from this spot. With only 55 seconds left, you still need to have the contact. You still need to do one more flirt, and your ST is way back in the back. And if you try to finish on, for example, inspects, that's very obvious, and it's going to take a while.
I think at this point we just have to hit a green flirt and then inspect swap or some other fast progress. We miss our ST at Windows. That's rather unfortunate, and there's no close spot next to them in conversation, so...
Oh, we go for a bug, and it's the immediate shot. I think Adafheyesh was all over this, and, it wouldn't have mattered. I think Lev was well on a way to timing out, if anything, just with that conversation being so full and having to squeeze in to even find a single flirt, even from across conversation, and then doing another mission after that. Either you're so obvious that you're just going to get shot anyways, or you're timing out in that scenario. And I think all of that combined, Lev, that bug might have just been the best try.
I think it was a valiant attempt to save the game at that point, but there wasn't that much to save at that point. But I think, as you said before, sniper wins are reasonably expected on this venue.
Yeah, that is true, especially when the spy is doing a white or red test purloin, as we have seen in these first two games. A bit of purloin and dye going on here. We'll see if Adafheyesh can change that going forward, playing as Duke. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Have a chance for a quick early flirt, but no.
Yes, we had a cooperative ST at the start of this game, but again, not much interest in starting off this flirt.
Yeah, not in this case, but now we're going to join them. I would have liked to see actually just a cheese flirt starting off this game, seeing our ST settle into conversation really early, but Adafheyesh not willing. We've seen a lot of white tests out of both of our players today, and the thing is, Adafheyesh is actually top half of green test rate in SMC with a 53.58% green rate over the past SMC cycle. So we should be seeing a few more green tests, but maybe some level of nerves is getting to them with the action tests here, or it's just a bad day for action tests. That does happen sometimes, as we've already seen multiple white flirts, and of course that red purloin.
We have another example of the rare drink outside phenomenon.
Yeah, neither player seems to be caring too much about it. Neither player really thinking about it, it would seem, so I would doubt it really being caught on the sniper side.
I'm just not quite sure why we're out here. Where with the SDA, there's no possibility of a real contact. Our seduction target isn't here, and it feels a little bit like we're burning time we don't afford.
Yeah, Adafheyesh does seem to feel the same way. I would have maybe liked to see a timeout already at this point, given our progress, and we are going to step into statues here. This is going to afford us a highlight. Unlike Adafheyesh, Lev is indeed highlighting for these statue visits, so it's a little rough. 51% on the flirt, a single inspect, 2 inspects. We still need to visit another set of statues to complete these, and now we're a highlight. I don't like it very much.
This feels very like the last game that we had with Lev.
Possible bug.
That's a bug. That's a bug. I'm pretty sure that was entirely invisible. And getting away with that bug as a highlight is really big here.
Yeah, the ambassador was just in the exact right spot. It is slightly visible at the start, but the ambassador is really the one that's kind of setting that up for us as a double walking bug. That's very rare and very, very impressive. Of course, when I say the ambassador is setting that up for us, I mean the ambassador is the one pathing into being close to us. I think Adafheyesh actually did plan for that bug after seeing the ambassador start to walk outside. So very nicely done by Adafheyesh. We're going to finish these inspects. And this is a fingerprintable statue as well, so this very well could be a silent game. The ambassador does appear to have taken a drink recently, so maybe we see that. But I think it's going to have to be a difficult print off of the drink here. We are going to request. Now we have to hit 2 greens to be finishing on time. Green for this.
Hit 2 greens and go back outside with a drink again to our seduction target, which is suddenly
we hit the print
sitting outside. So this is good, and now we have 50 seconds to go outside and get this last flirt. And I think again this will have to be a clutch green, because if we miss this green test, it's going to be very tight to hit flirts.
Our ST is being kind, coming back inside, so we don't have to go outside with a drink again. We don't have to squeeze next to them. If we can find this last flirt, they're at the window pad. We're going to immediately follow. We don't want to be bailed on here.
Oh no, it's a white. 85%. We have 23 seconds. If we go away and come back, we might be able to get this just in time, but there's probably going to be overtime.
We have to go for it, but there's so much activity. We need to find a spot in this conversation. If it fills up before we can get there, that's going to be a problem, but the double agent leaves.
Immediate flirt. There's going to be 8 seconds of overtime, and Lev can't find the right overtime shot, and this is a spy win.
Yeah, very nice. With the silent game, I think silent games are disproportionately strong on gallery in particular because of how weak contact can be sometimes with how many low lights it lets off. Look at how many highlights are still in this party by the end. Of course, we are a highlight, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 highlights. Am I counting that right? 8? I think that's 8 at least, possibly more. That is a ridiculous amount of highlights at the end of this game. What a lovely bug and a nice find to get that fingerprint finish from Adafheyesh. And that's the kind of spy play we have been praising constantly throughout Adafheyesh's run here in the SMC. It's honestly very, very nice. Of course, this time it was a little slow, but that didn't end up mattering. And now Lev very well could be going down on his own venue pick on the doubles. So we'll see if Lev can convert a spy win here, because if he doesn't, that's going to be a problem going into Adafheyesh's double of ballroom. And let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Lev not going to spurn this easy early flirt given to us, an immediate talk. We could probably, with the amount of activity here, and we do, disappear off and do something else. We conspicuously don't take this bug.
It's a little bit of an awkward path if you're not going to take that bug, I will say. But going to this particular spot in the venue, I think it's fine, but still.
I think it's definitely better to take the awkward path and be seen to not be bugging than the reverse. But Lev wasting a little bit of time at windows, and now into books. I think this will be our first spy book visit.
I think we did have a book visit in the previous Lev game, but we didn't do anything with it. Or perhaps the first Adafheyesh game, we didn't do anything with the book. So I'd like to see if something actually happens here, because the ambassador is in front, kind of being messed around with. Lots of activity, lots of staring at the ambassador here. I would have loved to see even a cheese direct microfilm to the green books there.
No interest in that kind of mission progress, though. We are going to go for inspects. I mean, we went highlight for it last time, so it's safe this time, I guess.
Yeah, but my question is, at that point, what is your plan in this game, right? Lev breaks animation slightly there and does a camera shake for us. I don't think it was noticed. It was very slight, and it's not something that snipers really look for that much.
I think we were trying to rush in to get this flirt. Ambassador is going to tease us by standing next to us right out in front of this conversation with no cover, and we take the bug! We take the bug, and that laser movement, I think it was seen.
Adafheyesh does indeed snap down as soon as we take that bug, but isn't shooting, so not sure. Lev, as we saw on that veranda game that got highlighted, waits for the last moment before the ambassador is moved away by the patience meter to take that bug, hoping that the sniper is going to look away near the end of it. And in this case, that might have actually worked out. If this bug is clean, I think we have a very strong case to say that Lev might be striking back on the spy side.
I think there was enough of a reaction that Lev knows that some of it might have been seen. I think at this point, a silent game is probably the way we want to go, rather than a classic inspect, contact, flirt, finish.
Yeah, I would prefer something without inspects, but we, of course, already have half of those inspects, so it's a natural way to start completing for Lev. But we'll see. Oh, it's a swap. It's a white swap. What?
I think we're framing, and it's scene swapped. Adaf is considering this.
Yeah, the laser's all over us.
We just need a flirt now. We didn't quite predict where our seduction target was going to go, so we're now stuck in the wrong conversation. But if we can just find a flirt at any point in these last 50 seconds, we have this game down.
Yeah, I think that bug wasn't entirely seen then, because you'd be very, very wary of a finish on these statues if it was. Our ST could be coming to us here and is going to join this conversation. Beautiful. We're going to take this last flirt. I don't think Adafheyesh is going to find the shot.
think we've managed to successfully answer back with a spy win.
That's
Managing to save this from being going down on his own pick.
yeah, that swap. I don't know. That was I'm not sure how that how that worked. I'll be honest. I think probably just something that Adafheyesh didn't expect and wasn't really looking at Rocker for any swaps, any really big suspicion. I think the bug was probably clean, given that we just didn't die for that.
Salmon, who was at the statue before us, had completed inspects. So it's a very solid frame if that's what the intention was, which I imagine it was.
Yeah, I guess that we did see that was. I have to guess that Adafheyesh is waiting for a contact. Another thing it could have been is that Adafheyesh kind of correctly credits the swap and the bug and knows, yeah, there's that, but kind of forgot that it's potentially 4 missions with the inspect completes. That is also a possibility, but it's a little surprising. But once again, the silent game gets it done on gallery, splitting 2-2. But now we're on to Adafheyesh's pick of Ballroom, the best venue.
Of course. And Adafheyesh as Boots.
Yep, as Boots. And we're get started in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Again, Adaf not concerned about beelining for the seduction target early on. We're happy to
hasn't
just
landed,
chill.
and in fact doesn't end up landing at center inspects, so I wouldn't be following them either against a person who highlights for statues.
It's a little bit difficult though because we've already lost the first 30 seconds of this game and nothing really to show for it. We're in conversation with the double agent, but no chance of any kind of good contact at the moment.
True, but there are quite a few AIs going into center inspects, or rather not just center inspects. Oh, I don't like this contact at all. But we're gonna go for. Oh no! It's another contact. That was a. Oh, that's. So
I think we were
unfortunate.
intending to banana bread while the waiter was coming over and then pulling, but we action priority that a little. That's so unfortunate.
That's so brutal. This game, I don't know how you complete this now. You've knocked out so many of those highlights that had been to statues. You've only gotten a contact to show for it. And there are just so many lowlights. You don't have any flirt. You couldn't get the purloin because of the action priority on the double contact. And if I may say, a lot of snipers like to assign suspicion to whomever that Toby is behind, not only on a white contact, but especially on a double contact, because it's such a common way to mess up your action priorities.
Well, we have one fingerprint in pocket. If we can find a difficult somewhere that Lev is missed, that might help us. We're still going to need another entire 2 missions. We're going to start off well with this first 51% green flirt at least. That's going to help us out a lot.
Yeah, it is. And we do see one more center inspector, but I can't help but think we would have had 3 guests with center inspects already in this party had we not taken that contact, and multiple others who had been to side statues who would have been highlights. That would have been such a good amount of visual cover for Adafheyesh to do things like bug or even microfilm perhaps. But now we're just going to pick up a highlight here and we're one of 3.
Yeah, doing inspects now, if we hadn't had all those lowlights.
Swap.
What? It's a swap! It's a red swap!
And shot taken pretty quickly afterwards. Yeah, I think that it may have been another action priority or some kind of frame game, but when the party is just that narrow, the sniper has so much less to worry about, and this kind of play does not work out. Unfortunate.
I think if it was a frame grain, we would have been aiming for the white rather than the red. I think this was an attempt to green swap our way to victory, and that's a painful way to go.
Indeed. That is unfortunate for Adafheyesh there. No spy win Kind of dead from the contact, really, but obviously still have those opportunities. Not behind yet. Is like technically it's 2-3, but it's not really behind until your opponent proves a spy victory. So LevT going to try to do just that and start off the set with a 4-2 lead potentially. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I think the question here for Adaf is how well he can recover for that kind of game where it's so annoying in the moment and there's just nothing you can do about that kind of mistake, and you just have to calmly try and snipe the next to keep it even.
Yeah, I think a lot of high-level players, that kind of game, are just going to be a like shake it off, right? It's a mechanical mishap. It's a action priority. It happens, and it's unfortunate it happened on this particular stage. But I think especially with that kind of mistake, you can kind of just shake it off.
LevT with a fingerprint, but nothing else to show really yet. I think the fingerprint is quite good. Ambassador was at Windows, so we didn't have to be seen with the briefcase too long. We could put it straight back down. We will be credited with it, but maybe a little less than General, who's having to walk across the entire venue to return it.
Yeah, the less amount of time that the sniper gets to see with the briefcase, the more likely it is they're just going to miss it, because the snipers aren't omnipotent, or rather omniscient. Not omnipotent either, but omniscience is the one that matters more in this case. In fact, they're probably closer to omnipotent than omniscient, huh? Because they do have the ability to end the game whenever they want.
You can tell who the English major is.
Creative writing, thank you very much. But we have a relatively slow game, just the single print and the single flirt so far.
We haven't seen time ads out of either of these players yet, and I feel like this is a prime game for a time ad.
I would have liked it earlier on, but I agree.
Ambassador is center statues, so
that's... Fake contact with the briefcase, trying to get a low light here, but it doesn't look like we're going to achieve that, but maybe it's a highlight instead.
Adaf crediting the spicy play. I think possibly it was... If we'd just put the briefcase down after that briefcase contact...
Oh, it's a white test.
Aww.
Surely this is death.
Of course, guys.
Yeah, I think this is even lower AT rates than we usually see out of these, because these two players, LevT is in the bottom half, and in fact is the lowest. Not the lowest. CRMs and POFkey have lower, but is the lowest of remaining players, with a 47.89% rate. But that's still only just under 50%. And we've been seeing so many white tests from both players, right? There's a 6% difference between them, but it feels like they're both just so low right now. And that means that it's going to be 3-3, Adafheyesh with another chance on the spy side of Ballroom. Had a very nice gallery game, but couldn't hold the sniper side. Had this spy side mishap last time, but it is, again, his pick. So we'll see if Adafheyesh can flex on it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I do think that if either of these players manages to hit a green on either a swap or a pearl lane, that'll be a significant help for their spy win probabilities.
Yeah, the difference between white and green purloin is pretty significant. I forget exactly what the stats were on that, but the win rate between spies who hit a green purloin and spies who hit a white purloin was, I think, above 15%, or maybe, yeah, I think it might have been something pretty large.
We had a flirt right in the front of Windows, so if Lev has been paying any attention, that'll be at the forefront of his mind. Window flirts being quite excessively hated by snipers usually. But
at least snipers who care about the flirt.
Which, all cool snipers do. We've got a nice contact lined up. We're going to take it. was a long white contact, but only a couple of low lights. So this is a nice start to this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, it was even better as it started, but Twin left and went to an empty conversation. So one extra low light, but overall, pretty good for Ballroom to have only 3 low lights after the contact, it would seem. I thought there was only 2, but Duke is also a low light. Perhaps a lit for some other reason.
We managed to successfully resist the temptation of taking that per line. And now we've got 2 minutes. We've got good progress on our flirt and contact done. The question is what the rest of the mission construction of this game is going to be.
Yeah, I think that could have been a nice bug with Lev having the front angle sniper here with the ambassador walking by. If we just leave as the ambassador is walking by us, we are the second fastest character in the game, so we can keep up with Taft. We go for the bug here instead, but Taft just too fast, and we are seen doing not enough cover, and LevT just shoots for it immediately.
Yeah, I think if you'd done the double walking bug like you were suggesting, that could have been pretty good, but the second time that... I think it's easy enough for the sniper to miss the first time the ambassador walks past, but the second time, maybe a little more attention being given.
Yeah, and in this case, I think Adafheyesh just miscalculated exactly what the sniper could see, because that was wide open for the sniper in terms of visibility. So seeing a little bit of, I don't want to say sloppiness necessarily, but not the quality we expect out of Adafheyesh, especially on his own double pick. Still, of course, it can be nice and even out of the doubles if Adafheyesh wins the sniper game, but LevT, has the opportunities here. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Both these players struggling a little on their own picks we've seen so far.
Immediate
That's an
swap.
instant swap. I don't think that was seen. AI control took us most of the way here. The statue wasn't seen. I think we have that clean.
Oh, I think it was seen, actually. Look at that. We saw Adafheyesh look from the left angle here from Lev to get an eye on that statue. So very possible that swap was seen, or at the very least, there was a brief highlight onto us as we were at that statue, which Adafheyesh, again, typically does not do statue highlights. So credited, potentially, but also reasonably, it's reasonable that Adafheyesh would have seen it as it was on screen.
I think Lev is in a really good position here. With the fact that we've gone and finished our inspects, we've got swap and inspects done, we're lining up for a contact, and we just need to get flirt done. And if we can get those done reasonably soon, I think Adaf might have a tendency of holding to a fault, and we could maybe abuse that this game.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to rush this, though, as we still need all of our flirt bar, and we've been seeing a lot of white tests, and we see another one here. If you're trying to rush, you need to have that 2 green if you're going to be doing flirt. Otherwise, you need to find a different mission set.
Well, we've started on the flirt. I don't know if we're going to aim to just flirt and contact our way out of this, or whether we might want to try and go for some kind of fingerprint. We've got plenty of time to work on some kind of soft tell, given that rushing isn't looking like it's going to happen now.
Yeah, and forcing a shot out of Adafheyesh for the flirt contact finish, I think, is a reasonable way to finish off this game, but given how Adafheyesh seems to react to the swap, I think it's probably credited, and Adafheyesh is willing to shoot when the time comes, especially if we just take timer flirts next to one person the entire game.
It's also been quite a quiet game in regards to other statue visitors. There's one other here. Nice redirect off that briefcase. And we're going back to statues? Is there a print here?
I don't think there's a print. I think it's just to try to lower our suspicion, do something that a spy might not necessarily do. We bounced off that briefcase, but now if we go back to Oprah here at these statues, that might ring some alarm bells, as we were next to Oprah a lot here. Red dress, as we like to call her as well, and a highlight onto red dress as well.
I think it'll be very telling if someone goes to one of the statues we've been at, if Adaf pays any attention to them for any possible swap or not. Here comes the banana bread.
contact.
This is going to be the moment of truth.
Banana bread.
It's a pretty low amount of reels, but it's just low lights. Will the shot come off? No.
I think Adaf might have suspected it, but at the point where it needed to shoot, maybe was less present in his mind. Solid finish.
That's surprising. I feel like these drops by Adafheyesh have been actually a little bit surprising to LevT's Spy. And LevT, you know, we had our community predictions, we had our on-air predictions, all of them went toward Adafheyesh, but now LevT is on the advantaged side coming out of the two doubled venues, and that, you know, doesn't mean that Lev's won yet. It's a long set, right? These are extra long. You know, standard sets are first to 7, but these are first to 9. So Adafheyesh definitely has time to bring this back, but this is a bit surprising, especially as, you know, seeing these games drop on the sniper side. Corvus, what do you have for us as far as the first half of this match?
So the first half of this match took us to Gallery and Ballroom. Now, Gallery and Ballroom are both venues where you do not have a lot of cover, right, to make some of these plays. And in particular, we did not really see these players trying to take advantage of the cover that they were afforded. We've seen a lot of swaps in the sniper's face. We've seen bugs in the sniper's face. We've seen purloins in the sniper's face. So I am wondering if these players are going to try to change that up on venues like Veranda, venues like Aquarium, venues like Library, because at this level, if you're doing some of those swaps or bugs in the sniper's face, that's the kind of thing that you might expect to cause you a lot of trouble. Now, another thing that we've mentioned a lot during this set has been action test rates. Action tests, of course, I think it's fair to say, very relevant for the purloins that we've seen. We've seen a lot of white purloins that have not gone well. Also for the flirts. Now, I will say for the flirts, we have not seen that many games that have run into serious time trouble. Even this latest game from Lev's Spy on Ballroom ended comfortably, I think it's fair to say, with 15 seconds left, and it was just that last flirt that we were waiting on, the last contact that we were waiting on. So I don't feel so bad about these Spies pacing, even if some of the games have gone kind of down to the wire. Now, I think the adaptions that we want to see from these Spies, first of all, hitting more greens would be great. Would love to see that. I also think it'd be interesting to see if they're willing to lean into some of the missions that have not been done yet. We have not seen any effort really to do transfer on either Ballroom or Gallery, and transfer is viable on both of those venues. Now we're coming up to Modern, Veranda, Aquarium, and Library. Transfer is also viable in all of those venues. This is not high rise. This is not, to give you an example of like Taeyen, those venues where transfer is maybe a little bit less favored. It's available on all of these maps, so I'd love to see some attempts made on there. Now, we're going to go back to, I think, one of the iconic games of this set that really does a lot to explain how it's been going. So let's take a look at this highlight game from Lev on Gallery. Now, just to remind people where we are here, we have 2 inspects that we've just done. We have a single flirt, and we're down to 2.5 minutes in this game. Now, Lev is going to go outside, try to find our seduction target who's sitting out here all by himself. We'll make it there in time to hold him here, and we'll go for the contact. Now, the ambassador is coming outside. We saw, this same kind of bug, I think, Opie, you mentioned it, from Lev in the previous set on Veranda. We're going to see it again here. Now, the question is, how is it that Lev is surviving this bug? In my mind, this is one of the pivotal moments of this set, because Lev winning this on Gallery prevented him from going down 3-1 on the first venue. So it's all about taking the opportunity here. Look how crowded the back of the venue is, and look at how much attention Lev is paying to it. If we go back here to the back of the venue, it is full. The waiter is back there. The double agent is back there, lots of guests out there, and yes, there has to be attention paid to the ambassador, and we can see Adafheyesh paying some of that attention when the ambassador first comes out here. It forces the zoom out, but Lev waits as long as he possibly can and goes for the bug just when the zoom in has to come from Adafheyesh to, I guess maybe check the statue, but it's the motion of the sniper. Zoomed out, I think you catch this. Zoomed in, I think you catch this. But in the middle of doing both, when your eyes are distracted, yes, we see the snap down, but Adafheyesh is just not sure. And we've seen that not sure from Adafheyesh a couple times in this set. Now, let's wind the timer forward. Our seduction target leaves. We are still not done with flirt. We're heading inside here. We see the double agent walking away. In my mind, Lev is very aware of the fact that Smallman, our double agent, is moving at this point and thinks, I better have some kind of plan here. We see Salmon putting down the statue. This is Salmon's second statue visit, although it is not in specs complete as they were to the same set of statues. Now Lev's going to get lucky here with a flirt. That'll take us up to 89%, but the time is ticking down and the double agent is still walking around, not guaranteed to go into conversation. And I think at this point, Lev is going to say, well, I have to try something that Adafheyesh has not already seen me do. I really need a win here. Let me go for something. And look at this, there's still a full back conversation. The waiter is still back here. There's still enough attention split that Lev just goes for this swap. And again, I think it's banking on Adafheyesh just not locking down the attention game, just being a little bit split. And we've seen Adafheyesh not take these shots that maybe he wanted to. You see another laser freeze, another laser flick. That's 2 laser flicks onto Lev in this game. And then of course the rest of this game is just flirting it out. So one thing I think is going to be very telling as we move into the bottom half is Ada willing to take shots that are a little bit more based on intuition? It's not the kind of sniper he likes to be. He likes to be sure. We've seen Lev punish it in these games with, again, those opportunistic plays that we talked about at the beginning of the set. That's going to be the thing that's going to get Adafheyesh back into this match on the bottom half. So we have all of Modern, all of Veranda, all of Aquarium, and all of Library to make that happen, but I think that's the way back in for Adafheyesh.
Thank you very much, Corvus. And we did see Adafheyesh do very well on those big venues in the last set. So we have a lot of those big venues going forward, including this one, Modern, our biggest 4 of 8 venue by far. Used to be 5 of 8 even. Of course, that was quite sniper favored. So now we are on the 4 of 8, have been for a while. And Adafheyesh is now on the spy side on the back foot. A little bit unexpected perhaps, but has time to potentially recover in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I think it's also important to note that we are only 1 venue sweep down. This is on the back foot, but not really that far on the back foot.
Yeah, this is definitely a spot where Adafheyesh isn't feeling great, but your hopes are not ruined yet. Adafheyesh, I think, was trying to force a green flirt by twitching on the pad, a fun little speedrunning trick, but did not get it. White test again, unfortunately. So instead, we're just going to take the delegate. Didn't try for a second twitch.
I think it's something worth noting that for a lot of players, green rate on the day does reflect a little bit how onto it you are, and both players struggling with the white tests, maybe indicating that the sniper isn't as locked down as hard as it could be, which, if I'm the spy here, I'm thinking, what can I do to abuse the fact that there are things being dropped?
Yeah, very, very possible. As things that affect green rate can include various factors that also affect your mental acuity, which is very, very relevant for the sniper side. As you mentioned, no, I don't believe we're going to be sending off this purloin early in this game. I hope we're not thinking about contacting necessarily quite yet, though.
We haven't seen anything done with microfilm yet. I think that could be a really good option. That, or fingerprints, or anything where there's enough steps that the sniper can forget about one of them, possibly.
Yeah, and it does, seem like there are quite a few book visitors in this game. And when that is the case, you have a slightly higher chance of getting away with book shenanigans yourself?
Speaking of, Adafheyesh heading into green books. Ambassadors are at the front of the venue, and there's
Can we
quite a
just
lot of occlusion
move
cover
this over
for
to blue and
party
flirt?
Probably.
I would love to see that happen, but Adafheyesh putting this back innocently, just time wasting.
I think both spies are just not quite confident to push the button on any kind of microfilm, even though that was quite a good time for it, really.
Yeah, and this is a little unusual, I feel like, for Adafheyesh. We saw a lot more aggressive, explosive play out of him in his first set versus Skrulus. And it's just, we saw it in the silent game on Gallery. We saw a flash of it. But for the rest of these games, it just hasn't felt like Adafheyesh is really playing up to his normal standard. We do see a time ad here, as there is only 1:15 on the clock before the time ad. And we only have the seduce done, and we'll see.
I'm really
if
glad to
Lev
finally
notices.
see a time ad out of a spy. If we're going to be playing these slower games, time ads are crucial. We're now going to blue books, which is unfortunate that we didn't get the microfilm out of green books earlier, because we'll probably be being credited, possibly with some kind of microfilm here.
I don't know if we're being credited necessarily. There's a lot of activity in this party, but we're just, again, not doing anything with this book. We're going to two different bookcases completely innocently, and I don't know if that's very good.
The kind of active idling where you're losing suspicion can be really solid. Oh, we have a slight animation break there, but it's a busy party, it's fine.
Lev with a little bit of a camera shake here. Look at that. And we actually cheese away from this at the bar. There's a lot of highlights. Lev seems a little bit frustrated, so if a purloin comes off here, there might actually be a shiv shot. We immediately send this. This is going to be our play. I think we might have even Taylor picked red dress here as the delegate option. This is going
And
to
look
be
at
a
this, we're
little
getting
while.
a bar rush right at the time where we're doing this. This is working out very well for Adaf.
True, but we only have 40 seconds left on the clock. That's going to be critical. We have a little bit of time still until this purloin comes off. We're going to green books again. This has to be going back into blue. Surely.
OP trying to will it into blue. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. And now we've got 23 seconds. And even if we swap this, we still need another whole mission.
It's a white swap. It's put back down immediately, and Lev just knows. I don't know
you
if that
can tell with that sniper laser. Lev is shaky there. There's definitely nerves.
Yeah, I appreciate the attempt here from Adafheyesh. I just think that it's much more important to perhaps see, not this swap, but I legitimately think just a direct direct microfilm straight, from green to blue, that's going to be more effective than breaking a bunch of animations to cheese a swap when this purloin's coming off.
Yeah, I think we missed those opportunities at bookshelves earlier, while possibly getting extra suspicion as well. So a bit of an unfortunate game from Adafheyesh, who's now significantly down.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's still one sweep until Lev can find a spy win, but every venue that you play at this point on is an opportunity to come back into the set, and your opportunities begin to dwindle as the set goes on and on. Adafheyesh already making me look like a fool. Lev has 6 points. I predicted Lev to have 5 by the end of this set when Adafheyesh had 9. So it's been very contrary to expectations so far. Let's see if Lev can really start to put this one away in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I think it definitely doesn't help that Adaf is spying first. If you're down a venue sweep, it hurts a lot more to look at a 6-3 scoreline than it does, something closer when you're sniping to catch up.
Yeah, there is some level of potential psychology to that, although I think most players do recognize that, hey, it's a whole venue, right? And spy and sniper coming first or second doesn't really matter in the long run. You're still going to have to win both of them to find a sweep. But It can be a bit more demoralizing. We see LevT start in a very similar fashion to Adafheyesh last game with the flirt at bar and taking a drink that's probably not going to find a delegate.
We're probably going to want to dump this conversation in a minute and go and join our ST. If nothing else, they've also got a drink and we could possibly do some kind of purloin frame.
True indeed. And we have a double agent between us. That wouldn't really be the best frame option. Instead, we're just going to go do another flirt. It's white test 65%. Oh no. If trends continue and another white test happens, that could very well be a 99 later on in this game, and that's going to hurt.
See, at this point, I would love to see a time ad. It's a little hard to do seduction target maths on the run, but if you can see that possibly in your future, it might be time for some extra time.
Yeah, or just some activity. As you mentioned, we haven't seen anything done with books at all this set, and we've seen spies go to books, right? As we're actually doing right here, but nothing with the mission.
This is an awkward time to be at books too.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
We're teasing it, but Ambassador's safe. Is Adaf gonna see this?
Book cheeses just work, Scout. They just do.
It's just there was no cover. We were seen at blue so clearly. Ambassador was safe. There was nothing to be watched there. I mean, Lev is alive. It obviously works.
Yeah, and that could be sealing things. 7-3 would be the scoreline if Lev finds the victory here. And it's a green test on this last flirt. So very, very commanding position here in this game. It's going to be a white test contact. There's going to be a lot of people out, though. But I think that is probably just still going to, not be enough to just have these lowlights. In fact, we could just go direct purloin this. And how often do we get shot?
I think Adaf has already shown that he can be a little bit overly patient at times, and if we think we've gotten away with this book cheese,
yep,
fine.
It's direct purloin. Can Adafheyesh take the shot? He sees it, surely, but I don't think there's going to be a shot, and Adafheyesh misses the book cheese and is going to be down 4 games to LevT in the set so far.
I think this is definitely starting to get into upset time for what was expected here. Lev just managing to play solidly.
Yeah, Lev playing a very, very nice set of games here. And, we're saying it's an upset because everyone was predicting Adafheyesh. So by that metric, it is. But I think by a skill metric, this is less of an upset than you might expect, right? Of course, these players came in, both of them very skilled, obviously, to have made it to SMC here. I think that Adafheyesh just looked more impressive. People were excited about the wild card, excited about the gameplay out of Adafheyesh, but it just hasn't been showing up today. The spy side has been a bit uncharacteristic. The sniper side has been missing things that you might not expect. And all in all, it's looking pretty grim for Adafheyesh here. Only 2 games LevT needs to find a victory. And remember, we're going into Veranda and Library as 2 of our venues in the back half of the set. Sniper wins come pretty easily there, even if we've seen Adafheyesh, pull out some incredible spy wins on these venues before. It's going to be a lot, and Adafheyesh needs to start the comeback now, or this could be the end of his SMC 22 run. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Starting out at books as teal, the best transfer because we are a combination of both color books. We ripped this. Okay, Adaf has figured out that things need to be happening and things are happening, and it's making me happy.
Yeah, we're just going to walk this all the way over, just not even stopping by in any conversations on the way over. It's just going to be a blue to green, just direct transfer, direct.
We're teal.
cheese.
No one can tell the difference.
Yeah, of course. 40%. On this
and here we
first
see
flirt.
the green test coming in. It's unfortunate it's a little bit too far to make for 2 flirt material, but the green test starting to happen is hopefully a good sign.
Indeed it is, and of course highlights for statues as is typical for LevT here.
I think highlights for statues can quickly get brutal on Veranda. There's 4 sets of statues. It can quickly get to be a mess of highlights. So if Adaf is aware of this and can avoid being one of those and one of the neutral lights walking around, it's almost the same as being a low light later on in the game.
I'm not sure I would equate it to a low light necessarily, as you still will get attention, but the amount of visual cover, I think, is underestimated by these highlights for statues. Having too many can definitely be a detriment to your ability to find a neutral lit spy, and as you said, there can be a mess of these statue highlights on something like Veranda. And we saw, in the game that Adafheyesh won on the spy side on Gallery, that there were tons and tons of these statue highlights in a silent game. Here we go. This book is finally going back into the wrong bookcase, but there's a rotation over. It's seen, but we're either not sure about the book or just not really thinking about it.
I think this is probably being soft credited. The ambassador was walking across the...
Wow! It's fully known by LevT. Just waits for the book to go back, and now Lev on match point. This could very well be a 9-3 victory over Adafheyesh. The biggest margin for Adafheyesh was 9-5. This is going to be a huge statement victory over Adafheyesh if LevT can just close this out, something on the spy side or on the next sniper side. This is incredible. Let's see if LevT can pull a huge margin over Adafheyesh. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Well, we have someone with speed for this big venue. And it looks like we are going to try and chase down our seduction target early on this game. Or not.
Entirely.
The spies like to prove me wrong.
Well, it was at a, it would have been a relatively crowded bookcase had LevT joined. So I don't mind the decision not to, but if you're Adafheyesh here, you're under so much pressure. You have to go 8-8 to get overtime. You have to win 5 games in a row against a sniper who has only let you get 1 spy win so far in this set, against a spy who's been just getting things past you on the sniper side. I think this isn't Adafheyesh's best day, but it's going to have to turn into, Adafheyesh is going to have to turn on his best play, basically, of his life to bring this back. And it's not impossible, but to go from what seems to be pretty underwhelming out of Adafheyesh this set to completely blazing for 5 games in a row, it's going to be difficult.
That was a beautiful redirect out of bookshelves from Lev, by the way. I think that's an underrated thing for snipers to pay attention to. It's hard for spies to see bookcase redirects reasonably far out. We have our second flirt, which is also at windows, but so far it looks like we're fine. We're not being paired.
Quick pickup on this statue here. We're going to grab a set of inspects, as we have seen pretty frequently from Lev in this set. Lots and lots of inspect visits, and in fact, we see a highlight for it this time. Perhaps it's in combination with the print that we have. Adafheyesh is willing to do that highlight now.
I think this is bad news for Lev. Adaf hasn't been highlighting for statues at all until they're completed. The fact we're being highlighted for a partial one means that we're definitely a lot more suspicious.
Yeah, and look at that zoom in to try to see, I think possibly both Bug and this Purloin, potentially. This is a fingerprintable
We hit
drink.
this green fingerprint.
Difficult
I think this is big.
fingerprintable drink. That could be huge.
Well, we have prints done. The clock is ticking down, though, and we have this drink in hand now that we have to slowly get rid of. I think Adaf might notice if we try and do too much activity.
Oh, we tried to do a sip BB, but that's trusting in the AT rate a little bit too much, and we actually red test it. That's going to be death, surely. And Adafheyesh does manage to find 1 out of 5 games. However, it may very well be the easiest of 5 to find as a Veranda sniper. Now we're on to Aquarium, where, of course, anything with the spy can happen. But after that, we have library. Adafheyesh needs 2 sweeps just to make overtime. If this comeback happens, it's going to be one of the biggest comebacks we've ever seen in a high-level tournament. One of course. And I want to see it happen. I do, Scout, but it's just so difficult.
Indeed. I mean, there's Aquarium. If any venue to scam a spy win, that's the one.
You bet.
So we're
and
ready?
We'll see if we can scam it in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Oh no, that doesn't look good. But I think it's a top shark, so it's not very visible on the sniper side. Oh, it's a little visible. But
I think the path was slightly disgusting, but we're okay. We're alive. Everything is fine.
It was a little bit visible, but I think that the depth perception on Aquarium gave us the ability to have that bug look a little bit more like just a regular arm swing than you might expect here. So safe for now.
Safe for now, and something in this conversation, perhaps intending to send this delegate off. It would be the first non-cheese delegate that had been sent off as well if this happens.
I don't think it's going to happen. That means that nothing at all is happening in this game, not even Flirt.
Not Flirt, though that's been because RST has been busy doing stuff, which you like to see as Spy, even when it's sometimes painful. I think at this point, though, we might, if we're not going to send this delegate, the timer expires. Adaf agrees we need to go and do something. In this case, the something is another delegate by the look of it.
Possibly getting a print off of this as well, as the ambassador has requested a drink after Twin, so it's going to be a long wait for this print, but we should get one instead. No, we looked like we were just flirting with Twin, but we weren't. We were just standing at bar, spending another 30 seconds doing nothing.
So here we go, our first white flirt for sadly only 30%, and we're down to 2 minutes on Aquarium. This is feeling rough.
Yeah, Adafheyesh does indeed start moving quickly, which is nice to see, recognizing the low time that we have left, and it is a pretty good spot to potentially reverse drive-by. Teal covers up the arm. We're going to go for it, but it fails because the ambassador is just a little bit too quick. These are the perils of Taft Ambassador, the fastest character in the game. I mean, of course, also one of the bigger models, so bugs can be more hidden. But, when you have the fastest character in the game, these reverse drive-bys just are so much harder to time, so much harder to get correct. And while, we've had 2 bug attempts in this game, and neither of them have taken, of course, neither of them have been caught. So that's nice, at least.
It was a beautiful bug, and I think not being caught, at least, is really big. But we need a time ad. We have our second flirt at 1 minute. We're going to need a third. We were at Green Books, but decided not to take any kind of microfilm. It looks like it's going to be a bar for the 3rd time this game.
That indeed is going to be the case. We leave pretty quickly after getting the cheese delegate. We have to go for something here. We're next to the ambassador. This is most definitely close enough. We're actually looking for a swap onto
Banana bread.
Irish here. Bug, but the ambassador walks away. We delegate but we delegate the double agent. That's interesting. We bug on the way through here. The shot comes off, and LevT has taken the victory over Adafheyesh.
I'm not sure how that bug was seen. I think we're just shooting for the path there, and some kind of suspicion. Lev just onto it today.
Yeah, very, very impressive sniper play. I think that, I will say that I think that Adafheyesh had an underperformance in this set to, be taken out 9-4. I think typically you're going to see a lot more impressive spy games a bit more of a solid sniper, but that's not at all to dismiss the absolute powerhouse performance that LevT put on today. Very, very impressive out of him. And it's going to have to continue to be impressive because LevT joined the bottom group there. Group B, it's the death. It's the group of death.
Yes, sadly not Group D for death, but it is the group of death.
Yeah. And Corvus, can you tell us a little bit about what LevT will have going forward?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, LevT has earned his spot in the SMC Champions round robin. So first of all, huge congratulations to him. Congratulations as well to Adafheyesh for making it to the Challengers Finals. Now, in this round robin, Lev will be playing 3 best of 16 games against Rav, Nebula, and Lagorv. Now, the top 2 from this group will promote into the Champions bracket. Third place also doesn't go home empty-handed. Third place is in the money. So still lots to play for in both of these groups, but now our groups are determined. All 8 players are locked in. Now I think based on what we've seen today from Lev, Lev was definitely abusing, I think, some of the hesitancy from Ada. Now I think that's going to be a lot harder to do against players like Rav, players like Lagorv, even players like Nebula. We even saw in Lagorv Nebula earlier today, these players are willing to take a shot when it's time to take a shot. So Lev may want to look at some of that tape, think about how they might want to adjust their play style. The good news is that we have seen some really good spy games from Lev. We've seen a sniper that's been able to lock it down. I think, Opie, as you mentioned, very few spy games let through from Adafheyesh. So plenty of room for Lev to make a statement in this group, and we will be catching all of that action as the weeks come forward. This was we still have 2 weeks left to go in the Champions Round Robin. We'll be seeing all of Lev's games as well as all the other games in these groups. But that is for later. We're going to close up for tonight. Opie and Scout, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Corvus. And just to plug, as you mentioned, we are going to have more of these streams. In fact, every match of the SMC 22 will be cast, and we have more casts tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Rav versus Nebula, with your host Corvus being one of the casters. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's in the Discord. It's in the SpyParty Discord as a Discord timestamp that will be in your own time zone if you'd like to check that out. And of course, after that, we have another match directly following at Sauerkraut versus Meteoric in the top group there. Pretty much back-to-back double-header matches for your SMC viewing pleasure. That will be, again, tomorrow, and check the Discord for the exact time. That's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern and 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be very, very exciting. I'm super happy to see what comes out of those matches, and it's going to be a fun day. Thank you, Scout, for casting with me.
Thank you for casting with me.
And I believe that's all for us. This game has been SpyParty. If you would like to buy SpyParty, you can find it at www.spyparty.com or on Steam. And if you'd like to just join the Discord and take a look around, get a feel for the community before you buy the game, you can also do that at discord.gg/SpyParty. We'll see you there. And with that, thank you everybody for watching.